Welcome to the favorites presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. We are an Action Network podcast. I'm Brandon Kravitz, your host, back at it with the first lady of the pod, Kendra Middleton. On today's episode, a single tear rolls down my cheek as our divisional previews come to a close. This has been so much fun, Kendra, going piece by piece, division by division, team by team. We've handed out a ton of bets, and hopefully we get it over 50% of these to cash. We've got some long shots in there too. It's just been a ton of fun. I look forward to chatting with Nick Lee today.
I've really enjoyed some of the guests we've had. They've definitely made I love the football season, but as people who work so much once it starts, I am like for once kind of just like, shit, like it's starting, crap, it's gonna get cold and I'm gonna be miserable and inside. But our guests have made me feel a sense of joy that we are heading back into our grind season.
Yes, very much so. I start to really get antsy around like right after the first week of August. I think it's right after the Hall of Fame game, and we get that first taste of football is when I really want to see the real stuff come back, and I'm really diving deep into the prep side of it. You can only prepare so much for an NFL season because everything is going to change within 2 to 3 weeks. So you don't want to. It's kind of like I used to tell myself this. I wasn't the best test taker, so maybe take this with a grain of salt. But I used to tell myself this going into a test, or I didn't know what the questions would be. Is like I don't want to over prepare for this because I don't want to get locked in on like I studied chapters 1 through 3, and the test is on 4 through 6. That's kind of what the NFL season feels like.
Agree. Yeah, 100%.
Pour one out for the Pro Bowl. A sad day. I have a prediction on the now deceased All-Star game for the NFL. I think 10 years from now, people are already drunk with nostalgia. If you look at all the remakes in Hollywood and all of that, people are going to miss it. People are going to forget how bad the Pro Bowl was. And in about 10 years, if we're still doing this podcast, I'll try and remember this. There's going to be pressure for the NFL to bring it back from fans that don't remember or weren't around to see how awful it was.
I just think once you have Mac Jones and Shador Sanders as Pro Bowlers, it's over, but it was really over once they removed it from Hawaii. Like the whole point of making a Pro Bowl was going on vacation with your family to Hawaii. It was like an honor and it was a big deal. And once you move it to Orlando, who wants to go to vacation to Orlando? Like nobody, dude.
It's funny that you say that. I live in Orlando, by the way.
Sorry.
And I do think I think we kind of ruined it. I think
You did.
I do think I host a local sports talk show in this city, and I will be saying this to my audience later this afternoon. I think that our presence and our lack of care for the event and the fact that we're not Hawaii sucked the joy out of it. And
yeah, you guys are Disney and stop trying to be anything else.
And all these players are like, they don't need the Pro Bowl to go to Disney, you know? So we'll pour one out for the Pro Bowl. Nick Lee covers the Seahawks, the Super Bowl champion Seahawks. We'll talk to him about that squad and the other three in the loaded NFC West in just a moment. But first, a word about the champion of sports apps, DraftKings.
The Favorites podcast has teamed up with DraftKings, and we've got some great news. Football season is almost here, and something big is coming to DraftKings Sports. Get ready for DraftKings Game Day on September 2nd, where we'll be celebrating the return of football with exciting offers and game day deals all day. And to make things even more exciting, the DraftKings Sports app is now available in all 50 states, bringing the excitement straight to your fingertips wherever you are. From Florida to Texas to California, you'll never miss a beat. Sweat all the games you love in a seamless experience no matter where you're watching with one app. Download the DraftKings Sports app now and use code FAVORITES so you're ready when the action kicks off. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Let's stay west to the NFC West and put this division under the microscope with our guest and good friend, Nick Lee, writer for Emerald City Spectrum. You can follow him on X at Nick Lee 51. Nick, the last time that we talked to you, the Seattle Seahawks were not Super Bowl champions. And now look at you. You got a beautiful hat on that dome. What's this offseason been like? And take me back to Super Bowl Sunday. What a ride.
Yeah, I mean, a few different things have happened since we last met. I think most of the offseason, even with, yes, we'll get to the NFC West and the arms race going on, but really for Seahawks fans, there's a picture of that I've saved in my phone. I've made it a sticker actually, and I send it all the time to my friends when they start to annoy me about their NFL teams. Is Mike McDonald staring into the Lombardi Trophy, and his reflection is in the trophy with a big old smile, just a million
Ah,
watt smile on his face through the Lombardi reflection. And
aura.
the
That's
aura,
great.
yes, and that has been the feeling in Seattle and in the Pacific Northwest, with all the other stuff going on in the NFC West and the NFL and sports in the world. That picture has really kind of brought us back to, hey, times are good right now, and especially with other teams trying to catch up to them, trying to dethrone them. It's that smiling Lombardi reflection face of Mike McDonald, like that they did it. But also, I think it's also a reflection of that Mike McDonald's not going anywhere. I don't think the Seahawks are going anywhere. I mean, they might have some things here or there to take care of, but overall, yes, I went into that Super Bowl Sunday very confident, and they got the job done with an elite defense, and I don't think that defense is going anywhere. So it's a really fun time to be covering the Seahawks, a Seahawks fan. It's beautiful up here right now in the summertime. It's not humid. It's low 80s. It's a nice time.
I have told this story 9,000 times, so I'm sorry for anyone who's heard it, but I need to tell this to you personally because you will enjoy it. I watched the Super Bowl at a Hooters in suburban Boston, and it got so quiet in there at one point during the fourth quarter that you could hear the guys in the back clanking the forks in the sink as they were washing the dishes.
That is music to the 12's ears for sure.
That you could probably sell that as a solo track to Seattle Seahawks fans, just the clanking of dishes in Massachusetts.
Especially
That's
with
great.
how Super Bowl 49 went. It was especially cathartic.
I have um I have a hot take on this division. I'm curious to get your feel on this. This could perhaps be the best division in the history of football going into an NFL season. I don't know if that's overstating things. You have a reigning Super Bowl champion. You have the odds on favorite to win the Super Bowl, which is a different team. And the 49ers, who have been to a Super Bowl within the last 3 years, with it, and they're ascending in quality. They were really banged up last year. The Cardinals sort of they're like the lead boot of the division, but is that going a step too far to say that this going into the season could be one of the best divisions in the history of the NFL?
I don't think that's all that hot, honestly. They had, I think, the best year of any division last year. They have the NFL MVP in Stafford, comeback player of the year in Christian McCaffrey, offensive player of the year, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and both participants in the NFC Championship game. Yes, the Super Bowl champion and the current Super Bowl favorite. Three teams with 12 plus wins. All three teams also won at least one playoff game as well, six total playoff wins. And also, moving into more of this year, I think they have the top three head coaches in the NFL in the same division. I know Andy Reid stands will get on me for that, but I think that it's going to be an absolute juggernaut once again. I know that the Cardinals are kind of the derpy dragon of the four-headed dragon here, but they're cooking something up that maybe in a year or two they're building something that could be redemption. But I think I agree. And with having the division be such a juggernaut, there unfortunately does need to be a doormat to where the other three can just beat on them, and that's been the Cardinals. But I think they're poised to have another three 11 plus win teams again.
All right, let's start with Seattle. Can you give us your kind of TLDR, too long didn't read for the olds out there, of the team, what your expectations are of the season, and now Kenneth Walker is gone. Do you expect Sam Darnold to be able to play at the same level that he did last year? Give us a little bit of just I guess, spark notes on the Seahawks coming up for the season.
Well, the biggest delta, of course, is losing Clint Kubiak. I think that's fair to say. And while going from Clint Kubiak to Brian Fleury as offensive coordinator, I'm not sure that's a bad thing yet, or it's just an unknown. He comes from the Shanahan San Francisco tree, and I that is obviously a huge question mark because I think Clint Kubiak and Sam Darnold were peanut butter and jelly. That was a really nice pairing because people went into last year thinking there's no way Sam Darnold can repeat what he did in Minnesota, and he still doesn't have playoff success. And then Clint Kubiak and him linked up, and it was a match made in heaven. So that is a big question mark. I think that's very fair. I am not as sounding the alarmy about losing Kenneth Walker because, yeah, he went on a heater. He went on a heater to finish the year, Super Bowl MVP, but his overall body of work, he struggled to stay healthy. He was never really like a top five, top seven running back in the NFL. And I think he really benefited last year from staying healthy and also sharing carries with Zach Charbonnet. And they kind of kept each other fresh until, unfortunately, of course, Charbonnet went down. So I'm not as panicking about that loss. And really, the Seahawks lost like only one of their top 10 in offensive snaps and one or two of their top 20 defensive snaps. I mean, people don't realize how much is coming back this year. So it's been kind of a little bit annoying as well. I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth with, oh, it's been great, the reflection of Mike McDonald in the Lombardi Trophy, but I also think they're one of the more disrespected reigning Super Bowl champions I have ever seen.
That's
I
a good
agree with
take.
that.
Yeah, that's a good take. All right, so you don't really seem that, upset about the loss of Kenneth Walker. So does that mean that you have high expectations for Jadarian Price this season?
I do. I think that just the structure in place in Seattle, they have a solid offensive line, which if you fast forward 3, 4, 5 years and tell Seahawks fans you're going to have a solid offensive line, they would laugh in your face. But it's finally that way. They have all starting five come back, and I think that is huge for a run game. And yeah, the terminology is going to be a little different. Fleury has a little bit of a different style. But I do think Jadarian Price is going to be RB1. Maybe they ease him into it a little bit in the first few weeks with George Holani in there. But overall, I do think he's going to be a top 20 running back in fantasy. I'm not sure you should be throwing around, top 2 round pick on him, but you certainly, I think you can comfortably take him in the middle tier of, your running back starters because just the volume. He's going to get the volume, and Seahawks have a solid offensive line, and they really were high on them in the draft, and they drafted it for need with Price, but also I think it was a perfect marriage of need and one of the best players available, and I think he's going to be really thriving in that system.
Something I've talked to all of our guests about through these previews is the schedule. I think that there is such a divide in the NFL media world between people who think the schedule matters and the schedule doesn't matter. I think that the schedule absolutely plays a major role in your season. I mean, we saw the Patriots having such an easy schedule last year and it did them a lot of favors. I think it can be the same with a difficult schedule. How how do you convince me that this over is a good idea on the season with a schedule like this?
Well, first of all, the Seahawks lost just 3 games last year by a total of 9 points. That's how close they were to 20-0, which is kind of mind-blowing. And like I mentioned, they haven't lost a ton from that. Yes, the offensive coordinator is a fair assessment of a big question mark. But yeah, they open up the Patriots. I think we all know how that's going to go. And at Cardinals, probably know how that's going to go. At Commanders, that's going to be tough. Then you come home for the Chargers and Niners, and then at Broncos, then Chiefs, Bears. That's a tough stretch for sure. I haven't looked at the as far as money lines or projected, spread for any of that. But I'd be pretty surprised if the Seahawks, don't go 6-2 in that stretch. Maybe 5-3 at absolute worst, and then they kind of go on a run. But uh, yeah, the schedule's fair. I do think they got some decent breaks with them being a division winner, and there's that schedule structure. There's a couple breaks in there I think that are good. The AFC West is going to be a strong division. I was listening to your preview on the AFC West, and it's nice that they get the Chiefs at home. I think that's a plus for them. At Denver, I think a lot of Broncos fans probably feel like that should have been the Super Bowl, and they're maybe out for, I don't know, revenge might not be the right word, but revenge for Super Bowl 48 maybe. But that's gonna be a tough one. So I agree. Schedule is a big question mark for better for worse for teams. I think the Seahawks did get an okay draw for being a division winner and Super Bowl champ, though.
That seems to be the trend is that when you look at the teams that won the division last year, it wasn't necessarily the best teams in the division going into 2026. And that's helped with some of the division and winning schedules. The Seahawks do rank 23rd in terms of schedule ease. So they are on the other end of the difficulty spectrum in terms of if you're weighting their schedule on Vegas forecasted win totals. So they do have it tough for sure. Everybody in the AFC West and NFC West have it tough because they all
Right.
play each other. So it's
Yeah.
all of these teams are gonna cannibalize each other. It is hard to get to the window on some overs with these teams in terms of their win totals, just because they all have such tough schedules in front of them. Before we get to best case scenario, best way to bet the team, we got to talk about the other side of the ball. The losses on defense, Kobe Bryant, Mafe, Reek Woolen, can they overcome that? Also, some news that we found out today, Leonard Williams has been tied up to a 3-year, $90 million extension. But what are you expecting in terms of defensive quality going into this season?
Well, the nice thing about Mike McDonald and, teams, the Sean McVays of the world, the Andy Reids of the world, you're never going to have probably a down year on that side of the ball that they specialize in. And I fully expect Mike McDonald. He was literally hired to be the anti Kyle Shanahan, anti Sean McVay, the kryptonite. And while he hasn't figured out Sean McVay, like because the Rams got some serious points and yards in those matchups, but they did beat him twice down the stretch in a big moment. I think he's kind of figured out Kyle Shanahan a little bit. So schematically, that's going to be there. I just think it is. Talent wise, yeah, like you said, and losing one big storyline people I think nationwide aren't quite following that is unfortunate for the Seahawks is losing Bud Clark. And they covered him in Hard Knocks, snapped his ankle unfortunately in that preseason game against the Titans. He was such an energizer bunny in that on that defense, and he was going to be basically the Kobe Bryant replacement. And it really sucks to see him go down. So I think talent wise, they're still one of the more talented defenses in the league. Don't tell Madden because they have them at 10th in the Madden ratings. I'm not
What?
sure about that. I know. Talk about this. It's been an off season of disrespect, and
It
Madden
has.
is chief among the offenders.
If
Um,
you're, by the way, if you're a DVOA truther out there, the fourth best team in DVOA history was the
ever,
Seattle Seahawks,
yeah.
and their secondary. I remember multiple games last year. The one against the Bucks sticks out the most, where the secondary was banged up. So it wasn't necessarily a team that had injury luck on their side. I think there's actually more upside with this team. So I'm gassing up your Seahawks. I'm with you on the disrespect train. It's everyone's falling in love with the Rams. Let's not forget what
Wow.
Seattle brings to the table.
Yeah, and Ernest Jones, I think, is the most underrated off-ball linebacker in the NFL. I think he's got a little bit more love with the All-Pro votes last year, but just he's the heartbeat. He lost his father in the middle of last year, and that was kind of an emotional rallying cry for him in the defense. And so he is an absolute leader. Him and Leonard Williams are just the alpha dogs in the room. And then you got, of course, the uber talent of Devin Witherspoon, Nicky Manwari. Just stay healthy, kid. And we're talking Kyle Hamilton, Derwin James.
Is he playing week one, by the way? Do we have word on that yet?
That is the golden question. If I were to put, if I were to put percentage chance on that, I'd probably say right now it's 50-50. It's close. He's just, I think it was yesterday, finally had cleats, didn't practice, has that non-contact jersey and stuff, but he's out on the field running through some stuff. We're less than 2 weeks away now, which is really exciting. But for him, I just had this been a normal Sunday game instead of a Wednesday game, I might be more confident. But I think it's kind of 50-50.
All right, you're a Seahawks guy. We've gotten some good camp info out of our team specific guests this entire preseason. What is your biggest takeaway from following camp for the Seahawks so closely?
Man, well, I kind of feel like the world has gotten a decent look if you're a Hard Knocks consumer. The overall prevailing thing in camp this year is Mike McDonald is the dude. Like he's in charge. He's got the culture. He toes that line perfectly between tough and demanding yet caring and kind of a father figure and vulnerable. I've never seen an NFL head coach toe that line so well. As far as players or
You sound like
story,
you want to kiss him.
I do. I do.
He's a handsome fella.
He is a
He
handsome.
is.
Well,
He's handsome.
I
Yeah.
sent a screenshot to one of my buddies the other day who's a Seahawks fan. There's a shot of him in the meeting room at Hard Knocks, and like he's doing some pose where his arms are enormous. Like, did he just like put the Super Bowl trophy down and just go in the gym and never leave? Because he like I don't know what happened between the Super Bowl and now, but he has been in the gym. Um, anyway, as far as
I need
storylines,
heart eyes coming out of Nick on the YouTube
Yeah.
channel.
I love him. And he's just such a likable guy. Like I
You
don't
literally
get it.
just gave the like Little Mermaid, but Daddy, I love
I
him.
love him. But it's true because like we see it all the time. Some head coaches are fake. It's the fake rah stuff, or they're way too on the nerdy side and don't connect with players. And players see right through that stuff. He is just genuine, and the players seem to connect with him. There's some like conversations he's had with Nikki Manwari on the show about his frustrations with his rehab. He handled that so well. And I think, like I was saying, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show before the Super Bowl, but he brings out this like nice guy, kind of like almost like middle class fancy, if you follow that vibe to him, like just the dad, the Costco dad. But I think behind closed doors, of the teams they beat last year, that is like psychotic stuff.
I'm
And
always
so
the most scared of them. Yep.
yeah. So I think he's got this nice guy persona. He's really good at connecting with his players, but he also runs a tight ship, and he'll get into his players' faces. And I think behind closed doors, he is a yeah, that's a great description, Kendra. And so that is obviously I think the prevailing storyline is Mike McDonald's the dude and he's in charge, but I think it's more if we're looking at other storylines besides that, the offense needs to get on the same page. There are a few hints of like different terminology. The offense is breaking the huddle late, and there's a shot on Hard Knocks of JSN and his receivers coach kind of going back and forth on some differences. Like that needs to get ironed out, which is why we have a training camp in preseason.
All right, well, let's see. The best case scenario for Ted Bundy and his group would be, I mean, going back to the Super Bowl, right? I mean, this is pretty easy. So,
Yeah,
I
best
think
case
their
scenario
best
is a
case
repeat.
scenario is winning the division.
Yeah. Oh, and I
this is where
actually,
the disrespect is coming from. It's people
well,
like
here's
Kendra.
and Kendra, I don't disagree. I do think that they can win the Super Bowl without winning the darn division.
I agree. Yeah, hell yeah.
That's also there's
I'm
a
almost
scenario.
wonder which would be more impressive at this
I
point.
was gonna say, I feel like it's probably weirdly very Seattle if they don't win the division and win the
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right. That'd be like the team
Yeah.
that goes into the playoffs with the chip on their shoulder might actually have
Yeah.
a mental advantage. I
Yeah.
like that idea. All right.
And
Well, their ceiling is sky high. They won the Super Bowl last year, so I don't need to spend time on that. Kendra, best way to bet them.
I'm sorry. I think that this schedule is way more difficult than it seems. I'm gonna give them a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. I gotta say the under here.
Under
I
10
think
and a half.
whoever wins this division is going to be a 10-win team. It's not that I'm disrespecting Seattle. I just think between them and the AFC West, they're all about to beat the shit out of each other for 18 weeks, and it's going to be bad. I think whoever wins this division is a 10, 10, 10. That's it. I can't get to the 10 and a half too far.
10 and a half juice to the over, so you can lose the vig at the sports book if you go the way of the under 10 and a half. I like them to win the division. I'll bet them 2-1 to win the division. I at least like the bet. I haven't actually bet it, but I would if you were saying gun to your head, who do you take to win this division? 2-1 on Seattle seems pretty wild to me. I just haven't placed it. It feels overly square to bet on the Super Bowl winner in any way. So I haven't bet the Seahawks, but I do support them internally. All right, let's move to the LA Rams. Their over-under is sitting at 11.5, juice to the over with one of the highest win totals that's out there. Everybody's darling this offseason. They're the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl. And honestly, they might even have shorter odds soon when they add Aaron Donald, which could happen by the time we're done with this preview. If they don't go all the way, Nick, what holds them back? What's the thing that stops the Rams from doing the thing that everybody assumes they're about to do?
Well, I like to compare divisions, because it's a family. You get to know each other really well in the division, right? And I gave each one of these a persona of like a family member that shows up to a Thanksgiving dinner or a family reunion. The Rams are the golden child. The aunts love him and kiss their cheeks. Grandma thinks he can do no wrong and hands him money all the time. He's successful. He's handsome and he dresses nice. But I'm talking about, Seahawks, Niners, and there's something a little sinister under that. Maybe he has an opiate problem, or maybe he's got three maxed out credit cards, or the therapist is working overtime for him. The Yes, I get it. I get why they're the Super Bowl favorites. They were really close. I mean, a few things break their way against the Seahawks in those two last games, and then just in general, they're playing and probably winning the Super Bowl. I get it. And then all they did was add Myles Garrett and Trent McDuffie and perhaps Aaron Donald. So it's common sense. I'm not offended as a Seahawks person that they are the favorites. I'm not offended by that because I understand. I get it. People just look at the sheet of paper. Seahawks lost this. Rams added this. I get it. But I do wonder about the age of the roster. They're one of the older teams in the league. Matthew Stafford is closer to getting his AARP benefits than his draft day. And there's a few like I mentioned, some problematic things under there. The Puka Nacua is starting to show some interesting, and he's a BYU guy. I love BYU. And he's starting to show some interesting sides to himself, and Larrick Jackson some trouble. So they haven't had the cleanest off season either. But I get why the Super Bowl favorites, and I do also wonder about their special teams. Will it be special in the way that my mom described me after I broke the sliding glass door? That kind of special. Because that was really what sunk them last year. They had the offense, their defense was pretty decent, okay. Their special teams, that muffed punt against the Seahawks, I think really flipped the script in the NFC Championship game. And and I think that's what pushed the Seahawks over the edge was, yeah, they had the solid defense, the solid offense. The Seahawks special teams was on point last year. And Rams, I think that's still a fairly big question mark. So if the Rams don't win the Super Bowl, I think it'll be Father Time saying time's up to perhaps Stafford and company. And also, yes, special teams blunders can just switch games up. And if you don't have that locked in, that can really sink you in the end.
How much of a difference do you think adding Aaron Donald to this team is going to make? I'm kind of in the camp that he doesn't really move the needle for me that much. I think he's just old, been away from the game for a bit, rehabbing the whole nine. It doesn't move the needle for me personally, but do you expect it to move the needle for Vegas? And do you expect it to really push this team over the top as much? I swear to God, every single day we're seeing a tweet that's like, Aaron Donald worked out today. Aaron Donald had his Cheerios for breakfast. Aaron Donald had a whole glass of milk today. And it's like, okay, I get it. I promise. Like, I don't need to know when you're changing his nappy. Let me know when he's in pads.
Yeah, it's like they have his Apple Watch workouts on notification
Like,
or
he just
something.
took a shit. Like, all right, cool. I don't care. Let me know when he's hitting somebody.
Yeah. Uh, great question, Kendra. I don't think it's going to move the needle a ton for me or the national, you know, like they're gonna move from being Super Bowl favorites to being the Super Bowl favorites. Maybe the odds change it a tick, but as far as on the field, they're going to go from one of the more fierce defensive lines to one of the more fierce defensive lines. Also, one thing that's underrated as well, Jared Verse is a stud. And the
Yes.
fact that they traded him in that deal, I don't think people are talking about that enough as a not a net negative, of
The
course,
receivers
but
in that division, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I did not think about that. I was very much in that I think they got fleeced in that deal because I love Jared Verse and they're going to be able to keep him long term. And
Yeah.
maybe if that's who knows. Cleveland's another issue. We don't have to talk about that. Okay, anyways, great point by you. Both sides of this roster are loaded top to bottom. Like this is to me the best roster in the NFL. If there is a concern and things are to go south, I know you mentioned the special teams are a big thing for you. I don't want to talk about special teams. Where does it go wrong? Is it Matt Stafford's age? Is it, their secondary just does wind up getting torched? Where does this go wrong if it goes wrong?
Yeah, age is a factor, but it's kind of hard to say, you know, that's kind of hard to quantify, right? Um, the defense is, I think, certainly more suspect than the offense. The offense is going to be there, like I mentioned with Mike McDonald on the defense, and Seattle. I think the same thing is true with Sean McVay on the offense for the Rams. It's just going to be there. So defensively, yeah, you can have them all the Miles Garrett's in the world, and Omar Spates I think is a pretty good player, and Byron Young and Kobe Turner, like that defensive line, former Seahawk Poona Ford, but yeah, Cam Kitchens is I think a little hot and cold. Trent McDuffie, yeah, I get that addition, but he's not exactly the most perfect corner ever produced either. Quentin Lake. He can be had too. So yeah, you make a good point. I think secondary is probably still, even with the addition of Trent McDuffie, I don't think he like just magically fixes all of the issues in the secondary.
I think anytime you get a team that's as top heavy in the NFL, it's hard to be top heavy and have depth. It's one or the other. And the Rams are as top heavy as could be. If they stay healthy and everything goes well on the field, they're going to be the best team in the NFL. It does seem like the depth could be a problem. And rather than addressing that in the draft,
I was just going to ask this question. But he's looked better than listen, are we
He's not even the backup yet. He's a beat Stetson Bennett.
I know.
So yeah, he looked good the first week, but
he's the preseason MVP though.
If they get dinged up, I think that their stock will drop precipitously. That's the knock against them. That's the only thing that you can really say.
With the $10 word, Kravitz.
Oh, yes, you know.
Flex on him
today. The fact that Ty Simpson isn't even the backup to me is problematic. I want to read off some of the names that they passed on so now that we get to know these names a little bit better, if you're not a college football geek, Ruben Bain could have had him. Casey Concepcion could have had him. Kenyon Sadiq, Kendra's favorite player, could have had him. And instead, they took what right now is their third string quarterback. Did they screw up in the draft by not going for it even more than it seems like they already are? And could that end up biting them?
That was one of the more head scratching and mouth gaping open. Like I had the draft on my phone. I was driving, so I was listening to it, and so I didn't know because sometimes you get the notifications before Goodell actually
the draft doesn't even matter anymore if you have your Twitter notifications on.
It's so true.
Everybody's just freaking rap sheet is tweeting them out 5 minutes before somebody's even on the clock. Like, just let me have this.
It can literally be an email now.
You got to turn off the notifications on draft day.
That's probably smart. D&D
or
something.
Move. Come on.
No, I D&D it.
When I heard them say Ty Simpson, I bust laughing. Like, because, as a Seahawks, covering the Seahawks, liking the Seahawks, you want to know, you want to peer over the hedges and see what they're, I went, just one of those, because I'm like, I'm sure, it's great when Seahawks fans are celebrating and Rams fans are doing the McVay in the face and the play sheet thing. And he had that vein in his neck was very strained. Yes, we like this guy, and we liked him in the interviews. That strained neck.
It was a great interview.
Yes, he's great at PR. I'll tell him that. He's done a great PR campaign. That was a disaster, and it could. You're right. End up biting them if their depth is tested. There are, I think, deeper teams than the Rams.
They are
okay,
old.
and I want to be clear. I at least need to bring some sensibility to this discussion, because we have done in talking about the short shot to win the Super Bowl is shit on them. We're just trying to present the other side, because
I've been doing this since the schedule dropped, Kravitz.
Every other podcast is just going to glaze them to death until the season starts. Yeah. So we just wanted to present the other side. And of course, Nick wasn't going to fight us on it because he's a Seahawks guy. The other thing I wanted to mention is I'm curious to see how this develops in the season. They are the 13 personnel kings. They sort of started this trend of throwing 3 tight ends on the field 31% of the time last year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm pretty sure that's an NFL record. Is this still an advantage for them, or is this now like every other trend? We did the 2 shell high safety thing, and then offenses figured out how to adjust to that defensive style. Now that this has become such a discussion, if we know it, The coordinators have already been working on this for months. Is this still going to be the advantage that it's been for the McVay offense?
I think it's one of those like hard or easy to duplicate, hard to replicate, or whatever that is, that saying where teams are going to try it for sure. I think the Rams do it very well. Taking the Seahawks angle again, that's why Nicky Manwari he is the skeleton key of facing the 13 personnel. He can take the tight ends out of the game, and he can handle himself in the run game and be out in coverage. Not every team has that. So I think the response for defenses is going to be try to finding that positionless, safety linebacker hybrid. Not every team has that. So I do think the Rams will find success there.
Best case scenario for the Rams, much like the Seahawks, win the division, win the Super Bowl. I don't think we're going to get a lot of argument there, and we shouldn't. I think we have properly presented the case of why not to bet the Rams. Kendra, best way to fade the team that you are not buying. I'm going to assume that the 11.5.
I gave it out
even
months
money
ago.
that you can get.
I gave it out months ago. I know that this number is probably just going to get better as time goes on, but I am very much in the camp that whoever wins 10 games is going to win this division. I'm standing 10 toes down on that. And also, like, I'm sorry, Matt Stafford is just old. Like, he's got to start to look his age at some point. Like, it comes for everybody, man. I love him to death, but yeah, him too, man. And Puka Nacua can't get out of his own damn way. So there's too much crap going on here.
Plus 105 on DraftKings for the under 11.5. That is tempting. That is tempting. I was also looking at Blake Corum touchdowns. I really like him in fantasy this year.
We talked about this in a week prior, and I also agree with you on this.
So his touchdowns are off the board, but if you really wanted to slingshot this, you can take him for most rushing touchdowns in the NFL at 80-1. So get yourself a nice little payday. Kyron Williams would have to go down in order for that to come home. Okay, let's talk about the San Francisco 49ers and Kendra's favorite subject, the substation. 9.5 is the win total, juiced to the over. We're not even to the season yet, and it already feels like this team is falling apart health-wise. Their wide receiver room got so bad, they had to bring Deebo Samuel back, and the substation is so ruthless in gobbling up souls. Even their head coach got hurt this offseason. It's just madness over there. In all seriousness, Nick, you're as serious as I can make this. Is this team good enough, and will they be healthy enough to match up with the NFC West elite?
Well, to give them a persona in your family reunion, they're the one that's, and people like them. They're talented, but they're so dramatic. They are just the drama kids that you can.
We all have that family member that shows up. With
someone's always hurt
with the neck the neck brace on.
Yes.
Or they got the thing on their
knee.
They've
always got something. Yeah, that was actually what I was getting to. They've always got something going on. They are always telling you about their last doctor's visits. Yeah, they got a sling at Thanksgiving dinner, and they want you to ask about it. And if you're in line at the drive-through, they're the type of people that if you're behind them in the drive-through lane waiting for your Whopper and you kiss the bumper of their car, he already has a neck brace on, complaining about whiplash as he gets out. And so yeah, 100%. And wow, what a wild offseason that continued this week. Jed York's arrest, Kyle Shanahan's frightening crash and kind of a mysterious crash, Brandon Ayuk's gestures to all of it, and some electric conspiracy theories.
Are you in on the conspiracy theory before I yap? Yes or no? You don't have to get into it.
I'm not a huge conspiracy theory guy. I do think there's something to do. It's weird. It's very, very weird.
12 of the starters on their depth chart are injured right now, and that's just the starters.
I mean, obviously the logical explanation is their training staff sucks, but I'm having a lot of fun with this supposed conspiracy theory. It's got its own X account now.
It's so good.
Nuclear.
It's so good.
Oh, so
it might be the best account out there.
It is. It's hilarious.
It could be the king of Twitter.
It really, yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely the main character right
we
now.
get a new good one every couple years. Like there was like the God and the Satan fights for a while, and then there was like that one old lady that was like tweeting really unhinged stuff, and now it's like the electric substation for sure. Like every once in a while they filter.
Just
I
looming.
it's my favorite thing right now. But despite the fact that they have so many injuries, I don't hate this team. I think that they're win total is a little too sharp for me. I know that Robert Saleh's gone, but I think that this team is so well coached. We saw it last year. Dude, I'm the biggest Mac Jones hater in the world, but I'm willing to admit that like he was kind of slinging darts last year, and I wish that he was still the Jags backup as much as I freaking hate his ass. You can clip this if you want to, Gifford. I will say something nice about Mac Jones one time. But like they're so well coached. I think that the depth is like fine enough. Like it's honestly impressive how much depth they have considering how many names are on their roster. There's nothing you could convince me of that this team isn't going to cause problems for not just their division, but the entirety of their schedule, no matter how healthy they are.
That's very fair. Very fair. I'm actually kind of feeling very similar. It's, you know, the in baseball with the trade deadline, some guys, some teams like have a guy that's on the injured list all year, and then he's about to come back, and like, well, our best addition is the guy that's coming back that has been hurt all year, and I kind of feel like that with the Niners, where their best additions are a healthy Kittle, a healthy McCaffrey, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, another BYU guy who I've as a Seahawks fan. I want to hate him, but he's just very unhateable. And brought Dre Greenlaw back, so they made some nice moves, and I promised myself that I would say at least one nice thing about everyone in the division on this show, and they're too talented, too well coached, and yes, they're gonna have to overcome some extra extra forces that maybe are working against them. But Dejon Stribling as well with Mike Evans. I mean, that could be a nasty receiver room as well.
He's
And
nice. He's
yeah,
really nice.
and Stribling, is kind of turning into a little bit of a rookie fantasy darling. So I don't know. I also don't know if there's a betting market for how often the substation is going to be referred to in broadcasts, but there's going
There's
to be.
probably like one of the freaking trader markets.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, the,
I'm
or got the
sure
traffic jam or something.
I'm sure that there is.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't hate that. What do you think about a head coach? Do you think that Shanahan, okay, I have so many questions right now. Is their window closed? I think that that's my first thing. Like, there's just to piggyback off of the injuries before I look at an angle at this somewhere else. Is their window closed? I don't want to write them off before the season even starts, but like, how do you recover from starting your season, which is the healthiest you're supposed to be? How do you get into a rhythm? Like, their window has to be closed, right? Like, they're going to cause problems for people, but like, unfortunately, I think this cast of characters that we know, there's no way.
Yeah, it's fairly closed. It might be open enough just barely for a fly to fly into the crack at the bottom, but um, yeah, it's talk about father time, and father time can be accelerated with injuries, and Christian McCaffrey, how bare are those tires? That he's been battered and bruised, and still one of the better players. I'm not touching him in fantasy. I'll tell you that much.
I'm not touching
And
any of them
yeah,
except for maybe Purdy.
yeah, Purdy low level. If you get Kittle as like as your back end tight end kind of option, but yeah, it's I think their window's closed. Certainly with the injuries they fight through, and Shanahan's a great coach, and I think he's going to get the most out of what he can with guys that are healthy. But especially with the rapid ascent of the Seahawks, who have now leapfrogged them emphatically with the beating him twice in the last two games. Oh, they were injured. Everyone's banged up back. In at that time. And then the Rams. I think both those teams have really just built above them in talent and depth. And Kyle Shanahan is gonna get his. I actually do like the over, but just 10-7. Like
I was gonna say, I know that Kravitz is gonna ask me what the best way to bet this division is, and I'm gonna say week to week for them to cover some spreads or upset some people. I just need to get a vibe check of the team before I do that. But I want to have an open discussion about another potential option that I have recently kind of talked myself into. What does Kyle Shanahan need to do to win Coach of the Year? Because if this roster truly is this hurt and they go out there and they do something similar to last year, I don't foresee a situation where there are a situation like the Patriots or as many injuries as there were last year for big quarterbacks. What does he need to do to kind of, if this is what their roster is going to be, is that a decent look?
Yeah, I feel like he should have been on the short list last year. Because 12-5 with that. Yeah, if you ask me if what, he won Coach of the Year in 2026, what happened? He doesn't even have to win the division, I don't think, but certainly
I don't
11.
either. That's why I think
Yeah.
if like their
If you
roster is
won
going to
the
be,
if
Yeah,
you won the
put him in
division, it would
Canton
be
already
over.
if he wins the division. I'd say probably a 10, 11 wins. Maybe, I guess they don't really do playoff success as far as the coach of the year, but yeah, 10 to 11 wins, right in the division race to the very end. I there's a scenario. I mean, I don't think he's going to win coach of the year if they go like 9-8 with all the everyone hurts. I don't think that's like optics wise that probably won't happen, but
for me, it's him or LaFleur. So, I mean, we're going to talk Mike LaFleur. We're going to talk about that in a second.
M.
Like,
LaFleur and J Love, right?
yeah, I think that that's pretty much those are the options for me if you're looking for a
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
35-1 for Kyle Shanahan to win Coach of the Year. And I do think it would take him winning the division, and asking the 49ers to do that this year is asking a lot. I do want to flip to the other side. There's so much focus on Purdy. CMC, is he going to stay healthy? The injuries to wide receiver. And yes, we've all fallen in love with DeJean Stribling. Defensively, yes, you lose Robert Saleh. They bring in a former head coach in Raheem Morris. And I think that might be maybe not a net positive. It's not a net negative. I think they can at least withstand a defensive quality with him, but they're going to get a lot healthier. Fred Warner's back on the field. Nick Bosa's back on the field. This defense was terrible last year, but it's not because they have a bad defense. It's because all their best players weren't on the field. I think defensively they can be a lot better. Do you see that, Nick, that this is a team with some serious defensive upside that we saw none of last year?
100%. Yeah. Like you mentioned with Morris, just the schematics, like everything else the same, just a different voice, different mind in the room on defense, I think will be huge. And yeah, Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner coming back. I don't see them being 24th in yards per play allowed again, which is what they were last year. And I don't see them allowing as many explosive plays if they can stay healthy. They got some solid guys in the secondary. Demodore Lenore is just an absolute thorn in the side of certainly Seahawks fans. They really do not like Lenore just because he feels like he matches up really well with Jackson Smith and Jigba, which the data is a little suspect on that, but that's for another day. He is very talented and very good. And Upton Stout is a good slot corner. So I do think that there's going to be a natural, even if they have normal bad injury luck during the season, I do think there'll be a natural rising of the tide for the defense.
Best case scenario for the 49ers, is it just stay healthy and hope for the best?
Stay healthy, 9-10 wins, wild card. One of those teams, like if they're healthy-ish and they're on the road in the wild card, very similar to the last year against the Eagles, the home team will be a little nervous.
Kendra, if you had to bet that either one of these two divisions is sending three teams to the playoffs, NFC North, NFC West, who do you think's more likely to do it?
West for sure. West for sure. Not even close.
Yeah, I mean, you got two autos, and then it's
Girl
just
Kendra, I
about
love
San
it.
Francisco showing up. All right,
I think we're also going to get some surprises. I'm not as high on the North as everybody else. I actually think I'm not as high on the North as everybody else. I think it's Detroit and then everybody.
I do
Right
love
with
me
you.
some North. So I'm in that group.
But
Go.
don't listen to me. I'm enamored to watch the NFC South.
It's true. Could you imagine? All we need to do, I feel like the 49ers should enter the transfer portal or something. Like if they were in either of the Souths, we would love them.
They need
But
some
they're in the
realignment.
NFC West. Yeah, they need realignment to hit fast.
They
Best
need
way
to
to
get away from the magnetic fields.
Yeah, I try not to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm not even sure this is a conspiracy anymore. I think
It's
the
hard to
evidence
ignore.
is
I'll say that
the
much. It's
evidence
hard
is
to
Listen,
ignore.
when
stacking up.
Pablo Torre is doing like sit down interviews on your shit, you know it's
Did
you
you listen
know.
to that,
Fair
Kendra?
enough.
I did. I listened to
Did
the
you make it
entire
through that?
thing. I did.
Do
Fair
you think
enough.
there was anything conclusive from that you can share with us and the audience?
Not as conclusive as I would like, but the fact that I'm still on this train, I think says enough. I think
Fair
it's a
enough.
mix between the substation and Dr. Chow's theory, which is probably correct that like they have such elite athletes on that team that getting bigger, faster, stronger on the same human frame is just and they're just that team, they're crazy athletes.
Yeah. Best way to bet them? What you got, Kendra?
I think I'm gonna say coach of the year. I think that this team is just they could really go on a weird run, and that's my fear with them. I can't love them with the injuries and really get on anything. It's gonna be a vibe check in season for them to upset some people for me week to
Well, they
week.
were they were vibing last year, 11-6
That's what
ATS.
I
So
mean. That's why they
they were
scare me.
darlings.
Like they
I
really
will
have the ability to go on a hot streak and go on a run, but like their schedule is just it's there's not I don't love the pockets of it.
Yeah, good coaching, good quarterback play, good organization outside of ownership.
Their fans are
I
assholes.
I think we can definitely bet them throughout the year. I'm in the awards market as well. Give me Dejon Stribling, Offensive Rookie of the Year, 13-1. Put it in the app.
Like
Love it.
it.
Arizona Cardinals. We can make this quick, fam. Rebuilding year for them. Their
Speak
over
for
under
yourself. I
is
love this roster.
four. Oh my god. Well, then you're gonna love the over. 4.5 juice to the under. I don't think anyone is delusional enough to think that new coach Mike LaFleur, the offense, has a chance to be good, but nobody's delusional enough to pick them to actually do anything, right, Kendra? You're not actually like I get if you like their over, but you're not. Are you betting them to actually accomplish things this year?
I gotta be honest, I don't even like their over, but once again, this is one of my favorite teams to get a vibe check of week to week. They're going to beat teams that they shouldn't at times. I literally love this roster so much, but their schedule, this is a schedule team for me. Like I am married to hating their schedule. They
They have
truly
the toughest schedule in the NFL,
I was going to
according
say
to
they
the
truly do
forecasted
not get
odds.
a break. I want to love them so much because I think that they're doing the right things. They're investing in the right places and, getting vets in the right places. I really think that this team is moving in the right direction. It's just their schedule for me. But I do think that they're going to win some games. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. I think even if they win 5 games this season, that is a victory. Like if I'm a Cardinals fan and I know ball, I feel good about that. What I do want to point to, just because I know we want to be quick with this because nobody cares but me, I am in the Carson Beck Offensive Rookie of the Year market because I think we're going to see a similar situation to what we saw with Tyler Shuck last year, where he didn't start the season, came out, was a gunslinger. Pay attention to Carson Beck, dude. He's played a lot of football. I know that he is inconsistent and he looks like a complete moron sometimes when he's looking downfield, can't read the defense and throws the ugliest pick you've ever seen in a horrible moment. But he's an old man as far as being like a rookie. He's played a lot of football on a lot of good teams. He knows how to play high level championship football and be under pressure. I'm telling you, watch this kid.
Wow. Kendra came out swinging on the Cardinals just now.
Fair enough.
This,
They're
this
100
roster is
to
great, dude. Like
they're
justice for
100 to
Paris
1.
Johnson, Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison's gonna have a comeback season. Jeremiah Love is gonna be sick as hell. Their
Yeah.
defense, I get, dude. Shout out Buda Baker. I wish the Jags would have traded for him a couple of years ago when he was available. Dewey Wingard, like huge vibes guy. Like, do I think he's the most talented guy in the world? But massive locker room guy. Watch them.
100 to 1 to win the division. I would have to have our stats hound Evan Abrams check if that has ever existed before. It feels like the longest odds I've ever seen. Is there
Not
anything,
this
Nick?
year. The year after, they will be my P words for the 2027
Okay.
season. I'm telling you, they will be my Panthers next year.
Well, we'll get to week 1 bets. I do like them week 1 against the spread. But Nick,
Samesies.
third team 100 to 1 or higher, according to our stats hound Evan Abrams. Nick, is there anything about this team that intrigues you?
Well, to give them a persona from the Thanksgiving dinner, they're the one that, the cousin that no one really knows super well. They show up and you get there. Oh yeah, the Cardinals are here. I forgot about him. Nobody knows how he got there, who gave him a ride. Now he's all of a sudden eating the potato salad before everybody else. Maybe has a few problematic Facebook posts, but also he's got a nice smile if he would clean up. And you learn randomly he's got a master's degree in like electroengineering or something, and he just doesn't have his life together. But like Kendra was mentioning, I also do like the core talent. Can you find me a better wide receiver one, RB1, tight end one combination than those three? I mean, that's pretty. If there's a list, they're very high on that list.
The
And
Lions.
It's a prove it
yeah,
situation, but I agree. If they prove it that my brother, if they get a quarterback, if Carson Beck can be a dude, like watch out.
yeah,
I'll need to stop drinking.
and first of all, yeah, the Jacoby Brissett holdout was hilarious. Maybe the most hilarious holdout of all time. I think
Ridiculous. I kind of
the
love him.
he's got some FU energy, which it's refreshing a little bit away. But really, the biggest question is the introductory press conference for Arch Manning going to be him holding a red jersey or a black jersey?
Nah,
Um,
he's going to Miami. Malik Willis is gonna suck.
That's probably fair. And
Sorry,
I do agree with
Kravitz.
you, Kendra, as well. On you mentioned on the AFC West show that Brock Bowers is tight end one in the NFL, and Trey McBride is a very close second. I know there's some avenues where you could shoehorn him into number one. Yeah, they got. I think this is what I feel like with the Cardinals. They have, yeah, the skill position talent of like a contender. They just That's like buying the smaller clothes before I lose the weight. Like the trenches and the defense, like the trenches and the defense need to be
Uh,
solid for it. Because like if you put those skill position players on a team that has their defense and trenches figured out, that's a Super Bowl team. Or that's like a Super Bowl skill level, but with they bought the sexy new clothes without losing the weight first with some of the
Nick,
skill guys they got.
that was just shut it down right now. That was the line of the
I love
podcast.
that. Yeah,
That's
that was good. That was
all about
good. That was a
it's
bar.
all about manifestation, you know?
Right.
You
Yeah.
will it into existence. All right,
No, we're not
best
manifesting right now. It's eclipse season, boys. Not to talk about, Mercury being in reverse cowgirl or anything, but we're not doing that right now.
best case scenario is they don't have the worst record in the NFL, 26% probability to have the worst record in the National Football League. But this team does have some talent, to Kendra's point. So I don't think that they will. And yeah, I don't know. I can't go any further than that. They cover some spreads. That'll be best case scenario
Oh
for
yeah.
them.
I think best case scenario, he's right. They have, RB1, wide receiver one, tight end one. That's the best case scenario for them is that their pieces gel.
Best way to bet them. I do like them week 1 plus 10.5 against the
Same.
Chargers. Yeah,
Same. Pod
I think they're
bet. Book
undervalued.
it.
Let's get it.
All
All
right.
right. It is time to plant the flag on the NFC West. The best look in the division, top tier, top of the line. Nick, you are our guest. We will start with you. What do you like the best in this division?
Well, as far as the over-unders, I first want to also sprinkle in the Jadarian Price Offensive Rookie of the Year. If the Cardinals crash the Ferrari with Jeremiah Love. But the Seahawks, like I said, are the most disrespected Super Bowl champion I've ever seen. And I know I know how that looks coming from a guy with an Emerald City football shirt and the Super Bowl hat. I totally get that. And I'm sure I'll get Rams fans angry at me for some of the digs I've made. But people also need to remember Sam Darnold is 31-6 in his last 2 years. And my persona for them, by the way, with the Seahawks, I didn't get to that, was they are the younger or the middle child who just got a promotion and needs everyone to know about it. They bought something irresponsible to show it off, a new boat. They got a hot new girl and kind of dumped his longtime girlfriend or something like that. Little
Middle child
irresponsible.
energy is hilarious.
Yeah, and a little overcompensation, a little inferiority complex with dealing with the Bay Area and LA media markets. That's kind of the Seahawks vibe there. So a little overcompensation, a little inferiority. Hey, look what I just did, kind of thing. I get it. That's going to be them. However, and Kendra, your takes on how the divisions are going to cannibalize each other. That's a very fair point. But I do think the Rams are the favorite to win the division for a reason, and I think they do. If I had to pick a division winner, it's probably the Rams. But the Seahawks 10.5. I'm going to take the over. I'm planting my flag on that. 10.5. And I'm not saying they're going to go, 14-3 again. 11-6. Can the Seahawks go 11-6? Fair point with the schedule. I just think the defense is going to keep them in every single ball game. Is there going to be an adjustment period with their offense? Maybe, but their defense is going to keep them in every single game, and that's one of those teams constructed like that where a few things need to go your way and you can win a ball game with a defense like that. So 10.5, my plant the flag is the Seahawks get over that, but yeah, I'm not going crazy. We're going 11-6, maybe 12-5, but the Seahawks continue to be slept on, disrespected. They got the trophy. Will there be a hangover? Maybe a touch, but this is still a really talented football team that really didn't lose a whole lot.
Kendra, what about you?
I'm staying all 10 toes down on the under on the Rams, ladies and germs. I just can't get there. Father time comes for everybody. Aaron Donald doesn't move the needle for me.
I will look at the substation for my best look. I am going to look the way of the MVP market. I like Brock Purdy to win NFL MVP. I think when you look at his efficiency over the last couple of years, he's been elite. Best quarterback in the NFL in terms of pressure to sack rate. That means that when he needs to complete a pass and he's got a guy in his face, he's able to do that. EPA per play on third downs, #1 in the NFL. And when CMC inevitably gets hurt, he will get all of the credit for their offensive success. Give me Brock Purdy, NFL MVP. Plant the flag. Thanks so much.
Can I tell you something before we go? I have to give you some flowers for a second. You have had some crazy futures through these previews, and you have stood on them. You are either going to have the best FU season ever, or you are going to come crashing down in flames, and I love you for it.
Thank you. I love you too. I have about 20 units right now on NFL futures. And so the season, we'll have some fun weeks 1 through 18 and into the playoffs. The year will be made on all of the discussions that we have already had on this podcast. So thank you. Hopefully you're right. Hopefully saying it with the chest out as turns into some profit for us. Thanks so much to our good friend Nick Lee, writer for Emerald City Spectrum at Nick Lee 51. Go ahead and throw him a follow. Nick, it has been an absolute pleasure. The hat looks good on you, my friend.
It was an absolute pleasure once again. Let's not be strangers. I love you guys.
The favorites will return next week as we inch closer to our week 1 betting card, and you can catch it right here on the Action Network YouTube page or wherever you download your favorite podcast. Special thanks to Nick, to Kendra, of course, our producers, David Payne and Gifford Gould. Leave us a 5-star review. Our show has been presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours.